I don't know what's wrong with me, but apparently I might be in my romance era. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie and I am really excited to go over some of the romance books that I have read so far this year that have really made me want to pick up more romance. Now, before we go further, I still love thrillers. They are still my one true love, but I have really been enjoying romance lately. So I thought it would be fun to go over all the romance books I've read so far that I think are worth picking up. These are all my 4 stars and higher romance books. Actually, I think all of these are 5 stars. The first book I want to talk about is probably the one book that really started it all, and that is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I feel like I've been screaming about this book from the mountaintops that everyone needs to read this book, and I'm so happy that more people are picking this up. This book, I don't know what it is, but I have such a special place in my heart for this book, and it is, it's so good, y'all. Y'all really need to pick this up. I actually picked this up because my friend Gwen actually picked it up on a whim and absolutely loved it, gave it 5 stars. And so I decided to see what the buzz was about. Hadn't really heard anyone else talking about this besides her. This one follows Alexis, who is a emergency room physician over at this big hospital that she works in. She's actually out in the country. I think she was leaving a wedding, and she has some car trouble, and this man Daniel stops by to kind of help her, and one thing leads to another. They both end up at the town bar. She's just there to get some food, and he's just there because it's his town's bar. And then it starts off with a bet of him trying to get her to leave with him, even though he's not really looking for that. It's more of his friends trying to egg him on. So he goes over there to kind of warn her, hey, my friend's over there. Anyways, so she's like, well, what if we leave together so you can win $100? So that's what happens. It turns into a one-night stand, and she goes back to the city. He stays in the country. It's kind of like country versus city life, and she has so much going on with her ex-relationship, her family relationship, and she wants to be with Daniel, but she's also has all this stuff going on in the city. And you guys, just pick this book up. It's so good. Moving on from Part of Your World, I also read all of the Friend Zone series books, and let me just tell you, I loved them all just as much. I know this is a series with these 3, but there are connections to this one as well, or this one's connected to the series. And I'm also currently reading Yours Truly, which is the sequel to Part of Your World, and I see connections with this book, so I feel like you can read them as standalones. I went ahead and read these 3 books in order. The main reason why I picked up The Friend Zone, which is book 1, is not only because I liked Part of Your World, but this one has to deal with infertility. And if you don't know anything about me, I do struggle with infertility. It's just never going to happen. I've always grown up knowing that, so I've come to terms with it, but I do like reading about other people who struggle with that and kind of just feel that connection. This one follows Kristen, and basically she is dating this guy in the military, and she's preparing for him to come home and leave the military, and she kind of meets this guy named Josh, who is one of her boyfriend's friends. And so there's this instant connection between them two, but she is dating someone else. And she's also struggling with really bad periods, and basically she has scheduled a hysterectomy, and she just knows that she will never have children, and she's come to terms with that. But as her relationship with Josh grows, he wants a big family. She feels like she can't provide what he wants anyways, and she's in a relationship, so she kind of pushes back as much as she can. And I can kind of relate to her a lot because me growing up and dating, it was hard to find someone that was willing to accept me for the way I am. So for that, I really enjoyed reading this book, reading Kristen's point of view through everything. It's very It's so good. It does have some steamy romance parts in it, but I just love the emotional connection with this one. The follow-up is the Happy Ever playlist. I will say, I think I gave this one actually 4 stars. I think it's my least favorite out of the 3. And the reason why I gave this one 4 stars is the middle part of the book. This one follows Sloane, and basically she runs into this dog and she tries to find its owner, and it's actually this guy who is low-key like a big musician. So when she finally gets in contact with him, he is actually out of the country and plans to be back soon, and so he asks her to watch over his dog until he gets back. So they're texting back and forth, and it gets a little flirty, and then when they meet, that's when things take off. She doesn't realize who he is. My main issue with this one was the middle section, and it was the whole like back and forth of like living the celebrity life or living the normal life, and it got a little repetitive, but I did overall enjoy the ending and everything, so I would still recommend to pick this one up. Next in the series is Life's Too Short. This one was really cute and adorable. This one follows a woman named Vanessa, and basically she is taking care of her sister's baby, and her next door neighbor Adrian, they kind of run into a little bit of a tiff because the baby's, obviously crying in the middle of the night. Vanessa has always dreaded hitting her 30s, and she's always wanted to like see the world and do all these great things, and then her life kind of comes to a complete halt because she's having to take care of her sister's baby, and her next door neighbor is really there to help support her. So I do love this one just as much as well. Okay, moving on from the Abby Jimenez train, the next book I want to talk about is After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am trying to read all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's backlist because I love Evelyn Hugo, absolutely loved it, and I enjoyed Daisy Jones and the Six for the majority of it. So I want to see more of her romance versus her historical stuff. I did read another romance, but it did not hit my favorites. But After I Do, I really enjoyed because this one follows a married couple who are really struggling to make their marriage work. And so they kind of come to this agreement where they will take 1 year off from marriage. They can't communicate with each other, and they basically try to figure out what they want to do. And after the 1 year, they will decide whether to stay together or separate. Being married myself, I really enjoyed seeing other real life struggles with marriage. I enjoy reading books about married couples and the struggles, and like I really related to some of the struggles that these couples faced with. Not only was this a romance, but this was also like kind of like a self-discovery, because you're following our main character and she's really seeing like, is she really the person who she was when she met her husband? Like, has she changed? Is she changing? What does she want out of her life? So I really love the self-discovery of this book. Next, I have read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. If you're going to ask me, this is my favorite Emily Henry book of all time. I do really enjoy Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation. This one is still to this day my favorite. I've always struggled with coming up with a synopsis for this one, but basically you're following Nora, who is a literary agent, and basically she is kind of like a workaholic a little bit. She's also trying to make sure that her client actually gets a deadline done on a book. Her and her sister actually decided to take a trip to Sunshine Falls, which is the location that's based on one of her favorite books and also her client. So she decides to take this little self-working trip to Sunshine Falls, but she runs into someone that she also knows that's in the literary agent world. I thought it was going to be enemies to lovers, but that's definitely not what this is. I also loved the small town feel of Sunshine Falls. It's also supposedly near Asheville, North Carolina, which is actually not that far from me. So I loved having that, I don't know, relatable small town feel. I just loved it. It gave me all the cozy vibes, so I definitely would recommend you pick this one up. And the last one on this list is Every Summer After by Carly Fortin. I know a lot of people compare this one to Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, and it's basically the same. But what I loved about this one is I felt more connected to the characters as they were growing up, and I don't know, this one was just so good and such a perfect read. I read this one at the beach, which I did do a whole beach vlog on this one, so if you are interested in more in-depth thoughts, definitely check out that vlog. I'll try to link it down below and in the cards and stuff. This one follows Persephone, and basically her family buys this lake house, and so every summer they go to the lake. Next door to their lake house is this family with 2 boys, and one of the boys is Sam, who is the same age as her, and then he also has an older brother. It's every summer leading up to them falling in love, but also you see them in present timeline where Persephone gets news that Sam's mother has passed away, so she needs to go back to her small town where she left at like age 18 and swore she would never go back because of something tragic that happened. So I loved this one because I loved both the present and the past timeline, so I feel like if you like Love in Other Words, you would like this one. It's very, very similar in that case. Now that we have mentioned my favorites, I did want to quickly do like an overview of all the books that are on my current TBR that are romances that I want to get to. So if you've made it this far, give this video a thumbs up and comment down below which one of these books I'm about to mention I should get to first. Yeah, there's quite a bit that have accumulated. The first one I want to mention is The Rehearsals by Annette Christine. I actually just purchased this one today. I have The American Roommate Experiment by Elaine Armaz. I also have You Were There Too by Colleen Oakley. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, and I also have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I kind of want to do like a TikTok Made Me Do It romance edition, so I kind of want to pair these two together. I also have Second First Impression by Sally Thorne. I've been meaning to get to this one very soon, so hopefully in the near future. I also have My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey, Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss out on any other bookish content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!